Hello guys, in this tutorial I want to teach you how to use UICalendarView in a UIKit project. UICalendarView is introduced in the WWDC 2022. It allows you to add a pretty calendar view into your iOS or macOS project. Let's start it with initiating a new project. To use UICalendarView, you are advised to choose Storyboard as the project's interface. In this part, I want to organize my files. You can do it same as me or you can skip it. So now it's time to create a calendar view object. Here we can define what type of calendar we want to choose. Indian, Japanese, Buddhist, Persian, Chinese, and many other types are available to choose for your calendar object. I should also mention UICalendarView is only available for iOS 16 and more, so you cannot use it for iOS less than 16. So don't forget to define your minimum deployment target to iOS 16 and more. In this part, I want to define a delegation class for handling calendar view. So now back to the view controller, and we want to create a new object with the class that we created and assign it to delegate object in the calendar view. In this part, I want to define a function to set up the calendar for viewing in the screen. Now it's time to create a class to have a template data to use for calendar. To have template data for selection date, for disable dates, and for event dates. In this class, I want to create a sample selected date for the calendar. Now it's time to back to the view controller, so let's back to it. Here I want to create a new function to set up the calendar components. In this function, I want to add multi-date selection to the calendar view. To doing that, I need to add UI calendar selection multi-date to the calendar view. As you can see, it has a delegation, so I add its delegation as an extension to the view controller. Now back to the function and define default selection date with what we defined as a sample data on the date database. And in the last part, we must set the selection behavior for the calendar view with multi-date selection. As you can see, selection behavior is a UI calendar selection object, and UI calendar selection multi-date is the same object as well. We have a critical error in the project and we must solve it before running the app. Here we forgot to return data for this object. Now let's run the app and see the result. As you can see, 5 dates are selected, and these dates are the dates that we defined on the dates database. In the next section, I want to disable a couple of days in the calendar. As you may hear, UICalendarView could configure with different types of selection behavior, single or multiple, and also you can disable individual dates from selection. And the other feature that you can add it to your calendar is adding some images per each day, and I will teach you by defining some events per each day. For having disabled dates, firstly I create a template date in the database. Let's go back to the extension that we defined and add a new function called multi-date selection. It has two overrides, can select date and can deselect date. We choose can select date for this behavior. In this function, based on the date components, if the function returns true, the date could be selected, and if the function returns false, the date will be disabled and the user cannot select a date. Now run the app and see the results. As you can see, 3 days are disabled and the user cannot select these days. Now it's time to add the last feature that I want to teach in this tutorial, adding events to the calendar. Firstly, I want to create an enumeration for types to make the project more structural. it's a good practice to having a sample data for events, and I create sample data in this class. Now I want to create a couple of functions in order to detect what day has what event. And for this function, I want to return nil for none, default for busy, and 2 images for travel and party respectively. best thing that we should do is calling this function in the function that is in the UICalendarView delegate and run the project after that. As you can see, we have 1 busy date, 3 party dates, and 2 travel dates in the calendar. Thank you for watching the video. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like the video, subscribe the channel, and share it to your friends.